there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Check Out This Record podcast. My name is Frank, and with me is my good buddy, Mark.
Episode 22! We're talking about 1999. What the?
Well, this is the podcast where we recommend albums for each other and review them. And we also have a variety of musical discussions. In fact, this week we're tackling an entire year of rock and roll. So be sure to check us out on Instagram and YouTube for additional content that will leave you wanting more musical goodness. As always, if there's a record you want us to check out, leave us a comment and we'll tell you what we think. And feel free to leave us a review while you're at it. So, Mark, how are you, my man?
Frank, you old scallywag. I'm good. I got a double tall glass of whiskey because where we're going, my friend, we're going to need whiskey.
So, Mark, let me ask you this question real quick. Do you have a soapbox? Because I would like to get on it for a few minutes if you're cool with that.
Yeah, I got Christian Science is a joke soapbox or reality TV is the greatest evil facing mankind today soapbox.
Well, Mark, listen, even as a devout Catholic, I know that Christian Science is a joke, but I was thinking more, do you have anything in the rock realm?
Oh, yeah, I've got this Fuck the Kings of Leon soapbox. It's got plenty of legs left on it.
Well, I was thinking of this, Mark, and if you don't mind, I'm going to just clear my throat, okay? And might I add, so it was 1999. The end of a decade that had brought so much good music to the forefront of our culture. Grunge put an end to the bad side of hair metal and all of its superficial offerings. Modern radio embraced Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains. And by the mid-90s, punk was thrusted in the spotlight with Green Day, The Offspring, and Rancid. It was awesome. Rock and roll or guitar-driven music, which is what I loved, was everywhere and provided a gateway to find out more awesome bands that were under the radar. So how do we end a decade of awesome music? Well, with this heaping pile of shit turds known as 1999. Now, before realizing the fact that good music is a level or two deeper than what we hear, I relied on these sources. All of a sudden, the rock I loved was thrown and mixed into a crock pot filled with teen pop princesses, boy bands, and cheesy Latin crossover music. Kids I knew had their CD books filled with Blink's Emina of the State, Limp Bizkit's Significant Other, and freaking Santana's Supernatural Mark with that crap frosting of a song Smooth. It's okay for bands listen to level up in popularity, but when you get mixed into TRL, right, Total Request Live by MTV, and in the same sentence as the crap I mentioned above, it becomes watered down. And look at their videos for proof. And go ahead, look at the rock music that was on fire. Sure, some of those bands remain super popular to this day, i.e. Blink, but I bet when you think about those bands and what you would consider their best work to be from that time is from that time period. And that's it. And I don't expect anything from the pop shit. They will always have their place. And unfortunately, it was a big surplus. That was an overkill during that time. But Mark, do you know what really brings my piss to a boil?
I'm going to get a mop.
Is at the end of that puke sandwich known as Limp Bizkit's Significant Other, perhaps the biggest culprit of them all in this. We have Matt Pinfield, who I like, giving a rant about the music at the time and how it was watered down shit and how the new Limp album is so important. Wrong. It's not. It didn't spare us from the teeny bopper shit. It fueled its fire, and that fire helped in invalidating rock music. Rhyming nookie with hooky is not cutting edge in music. In fact, it's cutting shit. Mix that with a mob of people wearing red Yankee hats, the caps backwards, of course, with camouflage shorts, and do we need to know why this year sucked? No wonder why Shaggy 2 Dope tried to drop kick your ass a few years back. There was no meaning here. Pinfield, and these were all cash grabs. And yes, Blink, I'm throwing you in here as well. What exactly did you think making videos of the pop lifestyle was going to do when you were on the same countdown as those same acts? Well, of course, bring them more attention. And you know what? That's to be expected. But at the same point in time, your band is still doing the same thing. You followed the pop music buffalo Blink, and you're still doing it in 2020. Hope you enjoy the chase. So Pinfield, you were bald during that rant in 99, and going back to this year is making me even more bald. But one thing I do know is I'm not going to wear that stupid red Yankee cap over this shit. That's it. I'm done.
You know, Frank, you've got a pretty unpopular opinion there. In fact, some people who write for major music magazines have frequently described 99 as, and I quote, the best year of music ever. Citing the rise of those boy bands and pop princesses as the rebirth of pop music, freeing it from the bond that is pop rock. I find myself somewhere in the middle. Look, I was 16, going on 17 in 1999, and Lord knows I had terrible taste in music, i.e. that Santana CD. But looking back, I see it as a turning point. And to your point, Frank, a low spot in rock and roll in all of its forms. But that low spot allowed for something awesome. And it allowed the roots music of rock and roll, your punk rock, your blues, your heavy sounds to dig themselves further underground because record labels were no longer interested. So without the lure of major record labels, rock and roll could be rebellious again. And it took a shitty year to prove that. Here are some notes from the 42nd Grammy celebration, the music of 1999. Of course, Grammys come out in like late January, early February. But it's celebrating all the shit that came out in 99. You ready for this, buddy?
I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
All right. Best record.
Mm-hmm.
Also best song, but let's face it, they just mean single, so I don't know why they're doing it fucking twice. Santana and Rob Thomas for that. You referred to it as turd frosting?
Yeah.
Turd frosting song called Smooth.
There you go.
Yeah. Santana also took home Best Album and Best Rock Album for Supernatural.
Mm.
This is, I feel like I need to defend myself a smidge, okay? This is the least Santana-like album of all of Santana's albums.
Absolutely.
I think he's an awesome musician, and his work
phenomenal. Can't
be understated. But this record is far from his best work. It was also the only one released while I was alive. Or at least capable of purchasing my own music. But this record, was I think you described it perfectly as a cash grab, as Santana just used it as an opportunity to pull in different singers who I'm sure were legitimately inspired by him to put all these different songs out to create a record that was essentially just a bunch. It was Carlos Santana's backing band and whatever pop piece of shit you got in front of you. And he used that to clean up. So anyways, now that I'm done making excuses for owning that, best female rock performer, Sheryl Crow. Frank, do you know what song Sheryl Crow won best rock performance for?
Tell me, Mark.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, the Guns N' Roses song.
Correct.
There you go.
Best male rock performance.
Mm-hmm.
Lenny Kravitz. American Woman.
Oh, another cover, right?
Another cover.
Oh.
Now, folks listening at home or on your earbuds or wherever it is you listen to our fine podcast, probably on the toilet, you know that Frank and I are Metallica fans. We don't apologize for it. Look, we can deal with it. They won Best Heavy Rock Performance in 1999 for Whiskey in the Jar.
I see another cover.
What the fuck, 1999? Why are all the best performances unoriginal music? I think there's something to be said about that. Now, look, the Red Hot Chili Peppers took Best Rock Song with Californication, right? Well, I see Californication as a turning point for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I feel that they went, hey, this works. Why don't we just milk this for, I don't know, how many albums have they done since then? So to me, this is just them. They found the set it and forget it setting. It worked. it works for this song. It worked for that album. I don't feel that they needed to continue it forever. But that one, best song, best rock song. And then, Beck won for best alternative album. I got nothing against Beck. I think he's a creative individual.
Totally.
But I don't think of him as a rock and roll guy.
Not at all.
So I say to you, what the fuck, Grammys?
Now, let it be known, while we're confessing here, I bought some of those albums mentioned, not the Santana album, Mark, but but I had your corn, M&Ms, and biscuits. Did you see what I did there, Mark?
Yeah, made me hungry, I'll tell you what.
I may have even gone as far as to get that Lit album. However, this was my coming of age, and I saw right through the index finger and the ring finger, and you know what was left there, my man?
Pinky?
Yeah, exactly. All 99 did, listen, was saturate things in the pop world. I mean, how many boy bands did we need? How many pop princesses did we need? How many rock bands wanting to emulate them did we need? 1984 was way superior in pop music as known artists made their presence known in their respective genre and in the overall billboards. And at least those songs aged well. Say, Jump, All Night Long, Dancing in the Dark, Time After Time, and yes, even Ghostbusters. So to me, Mark, in 99, there was something wrong in the neighborhood.
Oh, I see what you did there.
You see that? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Now, I think we poo-pooed 1999 long enough.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to take a look at a very serious piece of art.
Okay.
That came from 1999. Okay. I'm, of course, speaking about Kid Rock and his smash motherfucking hit, Ba to da Ba.
All right, get ready. You ready?
You ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, Frank and I will now perform an excerpt from Ba to da Ba.
Okay, here we go. Get ready. My name is Kid Rock.
Ba da ba, da bang, a bang, diggy. Diggy diggy, said the boogie. Said up jump the boogie. Ba da ba. Da bang a dang diggy. Diggy diggy, said the boogie. Up jump the boogie.
And this is for the questions that don't have any answers, the midnight glancers and the topless dancers. What? The candid freaks, cars packed with speakers, the G's with the 40s and the chicks with beepers, the northern lights and the southern comfort, and it don't even matter if the veins are punctured. All the crackheads, the critics, the cynics, to all my heroes in the methadone clinic, all you bastards at the IRS, from the crooked cops and the cluttered desks, from the shots of Jack and the caps of meth, half pints of love and the fifths of stress, for the hookers all trickling out of Hollywood, and for my hoods of the world misunderstood. I say it's all good and it's all in fun. Now get in the pit and try to love someone.
Ba da ba, da bang a dang diggy. Diggy diggy, said the boogie. Up jump the boogie.
Love someone.
Ba da ba, da bang a dang diggy. Diggy diggy, said the boogie. Up jump the boogie.
Kill someone.
Ba da ba, da bang da dang diggy. Diggy diggy, said the boogie. Up jump the boogie.
Love someone.
Ba da ba, da bang a dang diggy. Diggy diggy, said the boogie. Said up jump the boogie.
Come on. For the time bombs ticking and the heads that hang, the gangs getting money and the heads that bang bang, while Mustangs, the porno flicks, all my homies in the country and the cell block 6, the grits when there ain't enough eggs to cook. Oh my God. And for DB Cooker and money he took, you could look for answers, but that ain't fun. Now get in the pit and try to love someone.
What? Ba da ba. Da bang a dang diggy. Diggy diggy, said the boogie. Said up jump the boogie. Ba da ba. Da bang a dang diggy. Diggy diggy, said the boogie. Up jump the boogie.
Wow.
Wow, we did it!
Yeah.
That was life changing. You almost made it all the way through, buddy.
Yeah. Now there are tons of albums released in 99, Mark, so why don't we give the people a good bottom 5 of what came out in 99? And Mark, take it away after you, old chum.
Yes, absolutely. So, Mark's top 5 worst of 1999, as always, in no particular order, but exactly the order I mean them in. Number 5, fuck you, this band, all those girlfriends who love these fuckers. Crazy Town, The Gift of Game. Yeah. God, I hope all of them are dead for no particular reason. Counting Crows, The Desert Life at number 4. Fuck you, the Counting Crows. Number 3, I say this all the time. None of you believe me. Listen to his work. It is absolute shit. Chris Cornell, solo work. Euphoria Morning. And of course, number 2, Creed and Human Clay. Let's face it, it should be called Human Garbage. Now, Frank and I have admitted that Mark Tremonti is way better as a guitarist of a metal band nobody cares about. But goddamn, does Creed and Human Clay suck. Number 1, it's a surprise. I'm going to let Frank go.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. So here's my top 5 of 99. We're going to have Sugar Ray at 1459. The fact that this band even got popular is way beyond me, and they kept getting shittier, if you can even get shittier for them, as they absolutely progressed. This album is elevator music. It sucks. 4 is Lit, A Place of the Sun. I told you I owned it. Okay, there you go. It sucks. 3 is also Creed with Human Clay. Human piece of dog shit. That's all I got to tell you. Incubus, Make Yourself. Listen, Incubus had a lot of potential. Really funky, really good guitar player in the band. To me, they totally made things easier. They could have still kept that style and still got popular based on their talent alone. And since our ones are the same, Mark, let's say them together in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Limp Bizkit, Significant Other.
Sucking a dick.
Yep. Big fat one.
Butthole Surfer and the Fingers of Hot Dog.
Something like that.
God, that band fucking sucks. Look, in the name of doing this justice, I went back and listened to all of these fucking records.
I'm sorry, man.
And I almost killed look, my top 5 through 2, they suck, but you can listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Significant Other is so bad.
It's so bad.
And like nauseating that I can't help but wonder what was wrong with us. I don't even think I was smoking dope at this point yet. It's just a bad fucking record. Yeah,
and it was so hyped. And it was so hyped up. I mean, they pushed that in front of us like it was no one's business, man.
Yeah. So undoubtedly, you're screaming at your phone about a band that we've missed, or we hit a nerve and called a band that you liked out for being a pile of dog shit. For the latter, we won't apologize. However, we'd like to take a moment to point out a few others that made 1999 a big scoop of vanilla corporate buyout trash. Shout outs to new metal trash like Slipknot, Machine Head, POD, Stain, Seven Dust, and how could we forget Chevelle?
Oh, God.
Now, this was only the early days of pop punk. So we got a few albums, Yellow Card, New Found Glory, Saves the Day.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a paradox here, because peeling back a few layers and you get past everything that we covered, and there are some really cool albums to appear out of the abyss that is 1999.
Like previous episode, the Lillingtons, Death by Television.
And the Bouncing Souls, Hopeless Romantic.
Phoenix TX self-titled banger, and AFI's Black Sails in the Sunset.
311 Sound System, Pennywise, Straight Ahead, possibly their last good album. And, of course, Weird Al's masterpiece, Running with Scissors. So, love Weird Al, by the way. So, Mark, why don't we expand on some of our favorites so folks at home know we mean business? Sounds good?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to spotlight some of our favorite under-the-radar albums released in 99, and this will prove that the paradox exists, and hopefully we'll give our listeners some goodies to go home and check out if they haven't already. So we're going to do each, and Mark, you're up first, man.
Absolutely. So my first record from 1999, released August 10th of the year, Hot Water Music's No Division.
Oh, love it.
It's cliche to say that No Division is the album in which Hot Water Music came into their own, And it may not be true. There are those who will argue that Hot Water Music was well established before their third album, and that No Division is a great example of what makes them the now legendary Gainesville four-piece. I don't disagree with that. However, after a relentless year of 1997, which the band rode in high with Fuel for the Hate Game, recording and releasing Forever and Counting, with almost non-stop, touring, the band could have easily split at the end. And no one would have blamed them. But out of the ashes, if you will, came a record about pulling together, rising from beyond the station assigned to you, and personal growth. Is this their best work? You can argue that in your own time. I don't give a shit. Right. What I know is it's the first album that feels like a complete concept and not a collection of EPs. Earnestly strung together, hoping that it works. This is the first solid record. Musically intense and imposing. Hot Water Music sound is robust while remaining earnest and honest as ever. Tracks like Southeast First, Free Radio Gainesville, Our Own Way, and It's Hard to Know, a personal favorite of mine. All deep cuts to the core of what punk rock was supposed to be. And those are just the first four tracks. I'm really excited. At the End of a Gun, Jet Set Ready, and Rooftops, most bands would kill to have 3 songs of this caliber anywhere in their discography. Hit and Miss, Drive Home, and In Song round out the record and hook you. And hooked more generations of punks on the sound, and the heart that is Hot Water Music. Excuse me, I'm getting all teary-eyed thinking about it. I'll conclude with lyrics from the title track, No Division.
Yeah,
we'll sing our hearts out in unison that we won't obey or follow hate. We stand together. We stand with no division. And the ways of old will be swept away. Listen, 21 years later, Hot Water Music has me still believing. How about you, Frank?
Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. This is the first album where they're kind of really settling in on what's that sound is. And really, you could take it from this point. I mean, of course, I can go backwards and say those were fine albums, but move forward and be like, man, they were just hitting on all cylinders, really refining that sound, personal tunes, mature punk music. It's so good. I love that you picked this album, and I was listening to it earlier today, and I'm going to go ahead and listen to it even some more. So great choice there, Mark. Fantastic.
What do you got for us first?
So the first one I'm going to pick is More Betterness from No Use for a Name. This was released on October 5th, 1999. So it's the first No Use for a Name album that I bought. But for a long time, it wasn't the album I associated them with. It wasn't until after the unfortunate death of singer Tony Sly, which still messes with me to this day, where I gravitated more to this album. Tony Sly wasn't one for writing whole memorable albums, which by no means is saying that the albums are subpar. But No Use for a Name wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. They followed suit with the fast and shiny West Coast punk sound. However, there were a few gut-wrenching and super heartfelt tracks on these albums that would make you go, whoa, that's some writing. More Betterness is a prime example. Don't get fooled by the light and bright cover art. This album goes layers deep and tackles themes of life's natural pressure, self-doubt, being let down, relationship, whether it be others, oneself, faith. It's actually... it's prominent, those themes, and they stick out there while you listen to these tracks. And we're still getting the same speed here, but since they're more matured nature, they might seem a little bit slower, but that's okay. Tracks like Sleeping In and Always Carry are those showcases of Sly's writing. Sleeping In is really a tale of internal struggle. Lyrics like down the hall, standing in front of that window, and if heaven is so high, then why are you so low? Does it feel as if you're taking back the love that made it real? In the darkness, you will always see his face, and I can never take the place of him. Excuse me. Today, I'm sleeping in. This painting is such a painful picture, and I've always liked the relation to sleep because it even validates that pain, and that's how I look at it. Always Carry, that song does the same thing. We get lyrics here. I knew your favorite things, didn't know one of them was someone else. Again, it's done so simply, but man, it hits you on the jaw and it leaves an impact. You get a cool cover of the Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York, favorite Christmas song, by the way, unedited and all. It's a little more drawn out than the original, but it works. The end of the album, he gets a little poppy, but in the context of the band, you know, though, if you know what's going to happen in the next record, you know they'll recover on the next record. And I don't mind them experimenting all here. Coming Too Close and Room 19 show this is where that heaviness, again, is built lyrically, but it's wrapped around a pop punk sound, even a pop rock melodies and music. This album for me is the start of where you could really pick these Sly songs on an album and be blown away, and especially after his death, and some were even hard to listen to. I know for me it was. So more betterness. It's a somber record with trials of an individual struggle. Songs again like Chasing Rainbows, Life Size Mirror, but there's a comfort to it, and I think this album still holds up. And I was glad to revisit this. Mark, your thoughts on the album?
Yeah, interestingly, More Betterness was also the first No Use for a Name album I bought.
Look at that.
And I remember just being absolutely blown away by how clever his lyrics were, and the band's speed. I mean, they were a fantastic band. They really made that kind of West Coast California pop punk sound their own. You knew you were listening to them, so it was really cool.
Yeah, Mark, you got another pick coming up here.
Absolutely. A little out of the wheelhouse. I'm happy I got to snag this one before Frank did.
Yeah, you knew I had my eyes on it, pal.
Well, and look, Frank's a big rockabilly guy, and I love and respect that about him. But this record's really important to me because, being a guy getting into punk rock, being a guy who's already in love with heavy metal and the kind of dark overtones and themes, I wanted something kind of dark and mysterious. And what's more dark and mysterious than Tiger Army's debut self-titled record released October 26th, 1999 on Hellcat Records. Yeah. For me, this is the Psychobilly album. It's an amazing blend of rockabilly and the macabre.
Yeah.
Desperation and just too much hair gel. Dead girls and the reckless abandon to try to resurrect them.
Yeah.
Tiger Army's self-titled album is nothing short of textbook subgenre perfection. The bass slaps, the guitars wail, the drums shuffle perfectly in time. And Nick 13 croons, screams, and gives life to his own army of undead tigers, complete with 13 lucky tracks, including a blazing cover of 20 Flight Rock.
Yes.
Off to Eddie Cochran, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
The writer of that song. This album will have you tattooing spider webs on your elbows with tracks like Nocturnal and Fog Surround, while Moonlight Dreams and Trance will have you ready to join an army that never dies. I could listen every track on this record and point out the beauty that is Tiger Army's full commitment to their sound and style, but none will do it better than Outlaw Heart. A mysterious, romantic cowboy ballad about life on the road, life on the run. You can smell the cigarette stains on the old motel walls. You can feel the neon of the cactus stinging your eyes as though the cactus were real and you put your fucking hand on it. But you're there, along for the ride, crooning to the moon for a love you've left to save your own skin. It's just you and the band, an old rambler making it down the highway on the road to oblivion. Right where you were meant to be. Tiger Army will never die. They're in your heart. This fucking record fucking rules. Right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I love this record. It is really kind of the psychobilly album that set that genre off. Yeah, it was brewing in the 80s overseas, but Tiger Army is kind of the US psychobilly band that made that sound, and this album showcases that. Outlaw Heart, such an amazing song. And all the songs before and after it where they talk about a cowboy on a steel horse I ride. Yeah, Bon Jovi, I'm looking at you. Well, Outlaw Heart's better. It's better in so many different ways. Such a good record. Oh, I'm so glad you picked that.
Technically proficient. I mean, there's find a flaw on this record. There isn't. And
so good.
Huge shout out to Tim Armstrong for finding this fucking band and going like, no, I'm putting out your record.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I mean, they got me into psychobilly, so I absolutely love them. All right, so you ready for my next album?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we got the Get Up Kids, Something to Write Home About, released on September 28th, 1999 on Vagrant Records. Just to note, before the No Use for a Name album was on Fat Records. So this is the sophomore release from one of my favorite bands. This album put them on the map and really was the first of that emo sound that I heard. At first, it puzzled me as I didn't know what to make of the music. And although I can't say I identify with everything that fits that bill, this band I've always stayed connected with. They came off moderate success of their first album, and the band really makes an effort here to craft and perfect songs that leave an immediate impact on the listeners. Right off the bat, we get an energetic tune, Holiday, with singer Matt Pryor belting What Became of Everyone I Used to Know. This shows that the band can write a good rock song and then add that little emo element to it with its strained vocals. Two tracks later, it tones down and we get Valentine, which is really a toned down perspective that demonstrates how flexible the genre and this band in particular can be. Red Letter Day and Out of Reach, again, are tales of the exposed heart, full of broken trust and the yearning to start anew. But this record, it's just not all songs of the brokenhearted. In fact, to me personally, the highlights are songs that are not about that topic. Close to Home, which has always been one of my favorite Get Up Kids songs, and if you listen to the anniversary edition, there was a live version that's great. It's about the love-hate relationship you have with the place you come from. This is relatable to so many, and it promotes an emotional feeling, as it could be scary to leave that geographic location that you have always known. So again, it's not all about love and hearts. My Apology, often confused with being another heartbreak song, is actually the relationship that the person writing it, in this case Matt Pryor, has with music and having to answer to the naysayers. I always love the line, sometimes I can think to recite words that I read and rewrite. My pens paint people that I've proven wrong. The placement of the lyrics here are so well crafted, and a line like this penetrates and makes you say, well, what does that exactly mean? Now, Pryor's not the only singer here, as guitarist Jim Suptic also sings one of the band's staple songs in 10 minutes, which rocks and displays their full band sound. The tail end of the album also brings us to more tender moments like Long Good Night and I'll Catch You, which stand out and they still hold up. And this is why this record, I think, has that power, because you get a taste of everything. You get the rocking tracks like I'm a Loner, Dottie, a Rebel, the mid-tempo tunes, Company Dime, and then the really stripped down and bare moments here like I'll Catch You. I adore this band, and I've liked everything they put out. This album is a classic staple, of course, for the emo genre, and although the band will divert from this in a few years after this release, they still bang out some great albums. And Mark, your thoughts on this album?
I got to tell you, Something to Write Home About's always been my favorite Get Up Kids record. Just absolutely phenomenal. It's still, you can put that record on today and you are immediately wherever you were sitting the first time you heard it. It's amazing. It's crazy that we picked 4 very different records to represent the best of 1999 and got such a spread stylistically, writing-wise, musicality, just 4 records that each hold their own weight and are just so phenomenal.
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing, and to think again, if look at our demeanor now as we're really really involved and emotionally invested into what we're talking about. Then earlier, the flip side of things, the polar opposite is that mess that it was. So I mean, Mark, how do we put a bow on this year in music?
Frank, like many years, it's got its highs, and it sure as shit has its shitty lows. For me, the '90s were about, particularly the late '90s, were about foreshadowing what was going to happen in the early 2000s with punk, post-punk, and post-hardcore. Sounds that you and I would really come to love and identify with. As for '99 itself, she was my sophomore year in high school, and like most things in high school, I'm happy as fuck that it's behind me. It's an interesting thing. I think we needed this low point, right, to lift ourselves up again. And I'm one of those people. When you complain about not hearing rock and roll enough on the radio, to me that means it's in the right place. It's underground. It's in a garage. It's getting dirty, and it's doing the right thing. So, fuck you, 1999, and thank you.
And by 99, I was out of high school, so we do have an age gap here, but it's okay. Don't worry. I know.
Age gap lovers.
There you go. That's right. That's right. I think for me, even though I ripped it earlier, that was on the surface. And underneath, we were getting that emo explosion with the Get Up Kids, Jimmy Eat World's Clarity, which was an album I was going to pick, Ed Moore. The albums that we both reviewed, with the exception really of No Use for a Name, they're still here today, and they're still making records, and great ones at that. If Tony Sly was still around, I know he'd still be creating music. Tiger Army still puts out records. Get Up Kids still put out records. Matt Pryor has his solo stuff. New Amsterdam's. Hot Water Music, Chuck Reagan, Chris Willard, they're all still putting out stuff. And we love those records. We absolutely love them. However, it remains a paradox to me. And I think the year assisted with the watering down of rock music and opening the door not to take it seriously. Pop was supreme. It will always be the case, but it was overkill. And that was a poor way, in my opinion, to end a decade of great music. However, doing all of this and seeing that there are great records that I'd love released this year, I think I might have a little bit of a different perspective now on it. It was shit on the surface, but there's gold underneath, Mark. That's all I can tell you.
Well, we really learned something this week.
We did, actually. It was like a class.
What do you want to do next week?
All right, cool. So this is providing the album still comes out in this quarantine world, which I'm almost 99% sure it is. Mm-hmm. But I want you to check out a person who I think is a fantastic songwriter, and he's got a new album coming out. And this is Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit, and they have an album called Reunions. Now, Mark, I know you don't know much about Jason Isbell. Is that correct?
All I know about them is what you just said, and chances are I wasn't listening.
Hey-o. He's a great singer-songwriter, and he's establishing himself as one of the better in the genre. He was a former member of the Drive-By Truckers in 2001, from 2001 to 2007. Since then, he's been steadily releasing albums, either by himself or with his backing band, the 400 Unit. He writes insanely deep and awesome folk narrative songs, and then is able to bring some alternative country and rock songs that display his talents on guitar. So you get toned-down tunes, and you get some loud rockin' tunes. This is a guy for a while I've been wanting you to check out. Again, I think he's a fantastic songwriter. If you go to Nashville, there's buzz just circulating around him. People on Broadway over there are playing his tunes. They're doing the covers. They know about him. He's just a fantastic songwriter. So I'm really amped to have you check this out, man.
Awesome. We're Drive-By Truckers. Wasn't that Kid Rock's backing band?
He wishes, man. He wishes.
Right.
I know. But seriously, everyone, thank you for listening. You can check us out wherever you listen to podcasts. Check us out on Instagram and YouTube. And be safe, everyone out there.
Bye-bye.